Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to review All of Us Are Dead, Season 1, Episode 6. So, here's the interesting thing about this episode. It feels like even the classmates that have been together through this ride for a very long time, even they don't even know how to pronounce certain characters' names. I'm sorry, because we had like Bear Sue in this episode, where like his last name was pronounced like Soo Yuck and Soo Yoke through this episode. So like it's lucky they have Bear Sue in this one to just call this character because even the actors can't get the names right. Uh, just being honest, really, uh, we go into this story and we of course have this be an episode where they're finally getting out of the one room that they've been out of through a number of episodes. And every single strategy, every single thing that I was to come up through a number of other episodes is all compiling upon this one episode, as if they've heard every single one of my reviews up until this point and are going and planning and giving me this episode with these strategic approaches. You're welcome, show. You're welcome. The show was already out. The show was already out before I even said a word. But still, you're welcome, show. You're welcome. So, I should really be pleased by this show because I am just impressed by the strategy of this show. I've never seen so much strategy in one zombie show in my life. And I thank this show for trying to do some real thought processes to every bit of these episodes. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to narrow everything down, talk about everything, and get it all up and down good for everybody within this episode. So, teeing it up, what is this episode about? Because if anything, like, I really enjoyed this episode possibly more than all the others, because every single gripe that I had, boom, in one episode, they nailed every single one of the things. All in one episode. They just, the baby is back. That is all I want to say. But yeah, so like they hit everything in this episode all at once. And I'm like, oh my god! This episode was wonderful. So let's get into teeing it up. What is this episode about? So we go on, we find in this episode that two detectives are on a mission to go and save some younglings, some youngins, some people that may not be old enough to be this thing called old people. So, and we also have it to where the kids are still in the broadcast room, and we're just like, okay, like, hopefully they're going to do something in this episode. And finally they do. Finally they go on, and they're having a mission. And after that, they do a lot of boo-hoo crying and all that rigmarole-like stuff. But eventually they do a mission. They do a side quest. Well, technically, it's not really a side quest. It's an actual mission thing. Because side quests would go on and be like some small, ill-important thing. Where I think Chung Sung is a important character to the show, technically. So, if we didn't know where, of course, Lee Na Young is to be in this episode, we will figure that out. Maybe she was going off and filming some more Squid Game and then came back. We'd like to hope. We would like to hope that there was a season 2 of Squid Game, but we'll we'll just say that there probably is going to be a problem with her being able to be a part of that show, so to speak, unless they do something really creative. Uh, anyways, so we go on this show, and we are to see that both you is to really be in use here. The guy who is to go on, and this guy right here, uh, is to be really in use. With him, of course, becoming this guy who's going to go on, and we're going to find out what happens when this guy goes on and bites people. So we'll see how that all plays out. We're also going to have the, I keep calling them paramedics, but I'm not even sure that's really what they're called. They're really called fire rescue, but I keep calling them paramedics because that's a vehicle which I see them going around in. So we have Nam Soju, who is to have his own little mission here, and we're gonna probably maybe think to ourselves that this might be a mistake, but I doubt it. so, so we have two story, well, technically three stories going on in this one episode, because the baby is back. You can blame it all on me. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. Transformers song. Funny enough, I don't know the name of the song, but I only know that it's from the first Transformers movie, where Shia LaBeouf and the car is going after Megan Fox and trying to win her over, and that's the only thing I remember about that song. So let's go into it. Let's double five this bad boy up, because it's about time to go into this thing called Spoiler Time. Spoiler Time. Oh, the archery team and the bathroom kids, as I would like to call them, they have their own mission also. A mission that is strategic, but also at a point where I'm just like, why do these characters exist? Their story is probably the weakest out of all the characters, but they're there, they exist. They're going and being people who are going against the zombies, so that's cool. That's cool. So let's go into it. Let's go into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time you get to spoil this episode. So, hands down, just everything that I griped about, everything that I grinded my gears about, everything that I was like, I just want them. Wouldn't it be cool if they basically World War Z'd this up, or they did this, and then they did it all. They accomplished my goals. What are you gonna do next show? After I have no grievances. Man, and also, we still have it where it's like still a very a small window of time show. That is just amazing. How is it that we have like a show immediately coming after a show that is basically doing the exact same thing, and we just had like completely different approaches? How? HOW. HOW. Anyways, so let's go on. So let's just cover the fire rescue team and the council of people. You know, the chief aide and the assemblywoman. Let's cover all that stuff. Well, let's get that out of the way. And we'll go and talk about a baby. Baby Yoda. Hey, did you guys watch Boba Fett? Baby Yoda, like Grogu? Oh my god, wasn't that cool? Yeah, that's the only baby that we see in this episode besides we technically see a towel a towelette maybe, but not. I don't know, baby. I didn't hear goo goo gaga. So, anyways, so we go on in this episode, and so let's talk about the fire rescue and city council. So we have the fire rescue guys going on and mentioning that that really there is no real determination on how long that they're going to have to be there for. That it seems that these guys are thinking that they're going to be here for a very long time. Maybe maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe even a year. Cause I'll be. Do you guys ever see the show Friends? So the fire rescue people are like, well, we especially have Nam So-ju, who's going and thinking like, dude, I can't stay here any longer. Like, I need to leave. Like, I was just dropping off something, and I was gonna go and pick something up. Like, we have, of course, Soju that he, of course, is to go and ask these military like guys who, I don't want to say it's military because they're all wearing black. So, like, they were camouflage, I could easily say military. But these guys are all wearing black. So I guess they must be, like, ACD fans. Black and black, man! But again, so Soju is going and talking to these guys, and it seems like they're like, well, we don't know how long your incubation is, the time of which that you're going to stay here for. Like, I think it's going to be about 4 weeks. And we have the chief's aide going on and telling this guy, 4 weeks? That's a month. No, 6 weeks is a month. Hey, don't insult my math. I'm sorry, because I know I probably effed up a lot of stuff while I was doing this thing called talking within this show. So, I F stuff up. It happens. I was there when it happened. I would have to have been, or otherwise you would have been seeing some weird things go on here. So, the chief's aide is going like, well, hey, this is like almost a month. Let's correct his thing there. So, they go on and we, of course, have them go, it's like, well, suck it. Like, there's nothing you can do. And so they, like, the military guys go and bring in these guys some food. And I'm like, hey, where'd you get that from? Where'd you get all those, like, huge, massive amounts of food from? Where are they getting this food? Where can I get some? I'm hungry. Why does this show make me hungry? Why? I don't know. But we're here. So, we go on and have Soju with his partner, a guy that I don't exactly know his actual name, but I'm sure it probably is Park Young? Han? Let's go with Park. Let's try to be safe here. So we have Soju, we have Park, who are going on and just clocking these military guys, running out with these guys' clothes on. So we're gonna have a bunch of military guys just running around naked. Is that okay with everybody? Because that's what's gonna happen in the next episode. We're gonna have to censor some stuff out. We're gonna have to go because they took these guys' undies. They really needed a change of clothes. Like these guys have been around some zombies for quite a few days, and like, you know what, like things are starting to feel a little bit rank, if you know what I mean. Jellybean. So we have both these guys that are going and running to have this cool point where we have like Soju, who's like freaking like jumping up this this fence of things, or this wall of things. And so Park is like, hey, bring a line down, bring a thing of rope, because I'm sure you have that. And so Soju is like, well, Park, be safe. And then he leaves. And then Park is like, no. That's not true. That's impossible. Why could you leave me? Because now we're going to have this guy being, like, arrested. Or I would just assume he would just get, like, taken to a corner and shot somewhere because, like, hey, one more dead body. Pa! What? No, I saw him turn. He was a zombie. Pa! What? I don't know, I just keep shooting. I think he's a zombie. It's one of those hard to kill ones. Anyways. So, if we find out that Park is dead, like, Soju is never going to live that down. So, we go on and have Soju meet with this other military guy, and we have this guy who's like, hey, freeze, where are you going? And so the guy's like, hey, like, I'm on patrol. It's like, well, what patrol are you with? He's like, oh, gee, Klook. He takes him down, and then he runs off. He doesn't grab this guy's gun. Does anybody have a problem with that? That this guy's gun isn't grabbed and taken along with? That was the one illogical thing. So, all of a sudden, we have these alarms just going off at this quarantined site. I'm like, wow, that just seems like the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a zombie movie. Yeah, let's just haul all the zombies to just come down here because, hey, like, these alarms are going off. So this guy just, like, we have just, Soju is just running off. And so all of these people, all these military guys are taking, like, time that they're just wasting away here to chase after this guy. And I'm like, dude, it's a zombie apocalypse. Let him run. He's gonna die in, like, oh gee, like 2 days from now. He's gonna get bitten or killed or what. Let him run. Who gives a So this guy is, like, running, and conveniently he is to run to a point where there is to be this kind of pier, and so he dives, and he's in this water just swimming around. And so all of a sudden, we have it to where these guys are just pelting and wasting bullets into this water. They're like, man, I hope we get him. Like, man, this guy... Park! Still alive! He's like, hey, buddy! Like, they just think I'm one of them. Like, They aren't asking me what patrol I'm with. But Soju, they're desperately running after him. We have to catch this guy. And then shoots him in the water. Because we get this guy who gets pelted in the chest with this bullet. And so we're like, oh, he's gonna die, right? Anybody who has just seemed to die on this show, think the exact opposite. Basically, if a person dies, they're going to take forever to do so. So, in this show, no one dies. Have it just be like Marvel, where you're assuming like, oh, well, I think that so-and-so character is obviously dead now. What are they going to do to continue on this? Oh, he's still alive. How many billions upon billions of characters have had that to their story, where it's like, oh, you think that no. Possibly also in the show, we've had a number of people thought they were dead. Anyways, so assume the less worse. So, and plus also, wasn't this guy wearing body armor? How is body armor equaled shot? I'm confused. That must be some body armor, I tell ya. Anyways, moving on. So now that I've gotten all that out of the way, let's go and back up now. So now let's talk about them babies, you know? So we have this detective and some cop with uniform, who of course we were to see in the last episode. And we conveniently have it where this detective, along with this police officer, is to go to this chicken restaurant, the Chong Song restaurant, that of course is there's going to be one of these family members that aren't going to return to this restaurant. So we have these characters who go on, and the detective is to find the baby, and we don't really see the baby. We just see the like a baby that's kind of in like we just see like a toweled thing, and they say it's a baby. I'm like, you smuggling drugs in there, buddy? I don't know. Maybe baby is a code word. The baby hasn't screamed yet. The baby, like, I don't know. I went too long with that joke. So we go and we have this detective and this officer, and so they're deciding that they're gonna try to get out of this restaurant. And I'm like, whatever happened to the one girl? The one girl zombie that tied herself to that door? So many unanswered things within this answered show. I'm assuming that zombie is gonna come out like, rah, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have to leave. Oh, that's too bad. So, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of zombies that are not around this location. And so the detective's like, hey, let's get on that motorcycle. Let's try to get out of here. And the officer is telling the detective, it's like, well, hey, like, how are two people gonna fit on that motorcycle? And the detective's like, well, it's gonna be three. Because baby's coming along with us. So they go on and they get to this motorcycle because all the zombies are not around. All of a sudden the zombies are around, and we have this officer that is going on and smacking all these zombies. And so all of a sudden we have this little kid that's all of a sudden, hey, I'm not a zombie. Arr. So they're like, okay, kid, let's go back into the restaurant because F it, like, there's too many zombies now anyways. So they're going back into the restaurant. I'm like, isn't it just going to probably be a matter of time before this door breaks? Because there's a lot of glass in this restaurant. I'm just expecting something's going to break. Because if anybody has ever seen a pilot episode, glass tends to break in the show. Especially when you have a swarm of zombies that are all just like, marmalade. Anyways, so we go on and we, of course, have it where this little girl is pointing, that's my mom, that's my mommy. And so the detective is like, oh, who, where? And so the kid points out at one mom that is looking at her kid like a manwich. And we, of course, have this detective that is going on and clutching this little kid in, like, this world. This awful world has, like, mothers and mommies and dadas are all just turned into monsters. So, really, that's all we get for, like, that. So, like, they kind of went nowhere with those characters, but at least we found out the most vital character is to still be okay, which is Bebe. So freaking if I don't care out of all this story if every single one of our characters die. If that baby, like, if something happens to that baby, I'm losing it. Things will be lost upon that day. So, and I was also kind of weirdly expecting us to have, like, Zombie Baby at some point also. Weirdly, because Dawn of the Dead 2004. So, anyways, so let's go and talk about the school kids. Because they have things to do also, and they're a big chunk of this episode. Now that I've gotten all the little tiny things out of the way, hopefully, because I'm sure there might be, like, what happened to Orange Gibberish? I want to know if he's still alive. Because I think he's going to continue to get more likes and more views. Man, like, I want to see the journey of a vlogger turned zombie. Because I'm sure that's going to happen. So, So we go on here, and so let's get to the kids. Let's get to them kids. So we're at the broadcast room thing, uh, that place. So it seems that Kim Ji Min is wanting to go on and toss herself out this window, realizing that her parents were these things called dead. So Ji Min is like thinking about like wanting to just chuck herself out of a window. For how many numerous times that they would say they would like not throw people out of the window when someone is like volunteering to be tossed out. Wait a minute, hold on, let's save this one. It's true. It's horrible, but it's true. Maybe she'll survive the fall like that one other guy did. It could happen. You don't know. So that's awful, but still. Anyway, what happened to the rooftop kid? What happened to him? Is he dead up there? Did he turn into a zombie? Did he starve? Speaking of starving, we actually have starving Marvins in this episode. We've realized that people are to be this thing called hungry. And we also have someone else who's starting to get a little hungry towards the end of this episode. So let's go into it. So we go on and have these characters, and we of course have Jimin, who goes into the broadcast room and is being consoled by her friend. All of a sudden, we accidentally have Minji or Jimin, who accidentally hits the broadcast button by accident, and so they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, like we just remembered there was a broadcast thing in this room." Because we were too busy boo-hooing and crying before in some other episodes. Boo-hooing and crying and crapping. That's all they could do. Boo-hooing and crying and crapping. So that's it. That's all you can do in a zombie apocalypse. It's not like try to survive, find milk and cookies. No. Just cry, crap, and hope for the best. So all of a sudden they realize that they can go on and triangulate the signals of this broadcast thing and play some music so that way all the zombies will go to that one location. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking in my own head, like, well, yeah, you can probably get them to go for that sound, but I'm also thinking in my head for how long? Like, how long can you really have them go for that sound until it just becomes a thing that just exists? And then they realize it exists, and then they're just like, oh, hey, there's a man which... Arr. So we go on and we have them figure out that they can use this thing called a CD to play this thing called a soundtrack. And because what they end up doing is they're playing this meditative music, so that way all the zombies are like, "Arr!" Like, what, did they have no Bee Gees? Did they have no BTS? Did they have no other music that is to have been played in music? They couldn't have had the cool jazz. They couldn't have had some Kenny G. Anyways, I'm going too far along on all these jokes. So, and they're not funny. They're not. He's right. I know. So, so we go on, and they're planning this plan to get to Cheongsong, or Cheongsan, because they know where supposedly he is. And so instead of having just Cheongsong make it to them, they are all instead going to try to make it to him. Here's my thought process about that. One, if they go on and they continue to just stay within the area they're in, at some point they're probably going to get really annoyed with the soundtrack that's going on to where they're going to probably memorize it at some point, or they're probably going to have problems sleeping because I'm sure they're probably going to have to do that at some point also, right? Here's the thing, like I would like to see like how they do this thing called sleep in this world, because I'm assuming like we have probably one guy who's kind of like being the lookout, and everybody else is just kind of like sleeping, like probably on a floor somewhere, because like it's not like they have sleeping bags and convenience and whatever. So we go on, and so Shang Tsung is going on, and he's inside this room. He has to go on and deal with some zombie and take this zombie out. So all of a sudden, we find out that Lee Nam-young is to be in the other room next to Shang Tsung. And she is in a room filled to the brim with things that I'm sure are not sponsors for the show. There's a whole bunch of beverages. There's a whole bunch of food. And so this girl's like, yeah, did I pick the right room or what? I'm going to live here forever. Because everybody else is like, oh, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in like 80 bajillion days. But the one girl that is to be the most smartest character and is eating up this food while everybody else is just sucking it. Like, we had the one cafeteria guy. Oh, no. Someone else just hit the jackpot by going into the room that they're in. Either that or, like, the one guy's, like, having that restaurant. I'm like, heck yeah. Like, you can make all kinds of food there. And you can make that chicken. The chicken. That, of course, some characters are still just like, man, could I just have some chicken? Be great. Anyways, pushing on. So we have over the monitor them telling Chung Song what they're gonna do. Going on and like saying like, yeah, I know that you're gonna tell us that like we shouldn't do what we're doing, but we're gonna do it anyways because we all really want to be bitten by zombies or become zombies because it's cool. Anyways, so everybody is to go and run off after they present this broadcast thing. They try to run off to get to Shang Tsung, but it seems there is to be one zombie that, of course, is to not letting the rhythm get him of this thing called music. And so this zombie is just smacking against this wall. He's having a head-banging good time. And so we have this zombie that's just like, like, I'm just going to hit up against this wall because I think it's cool. And so we have it to where the guys are like opening and closing this door. Like, where, zombie, hey buddy, you're gonna move with your friends? All of a sudden we end up finding one zombie in the world of life that is to be this thing called death. And so, like, yeah, he must not hear out of all the other zombies. His ears must have been blown out for whatever reason. His eardrums, maybe he was near a siren or something when things were popping off, who knows. So, all of a sudden they're going on and like, well, we still have to go to that room anyways. We have to go on and just try and save this one man out of, what, 50 of them? It doesn't really feel like they're in a horrible spot right now, but it is what it is. So they start making their way past this zombie as the zombie is still headbanging, and all of a sudden the zombie is to still not be able to, I guess, hear anything, but all of a sudden when you have a cling 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 of one of these people's thermos from Goofus for one of these characters, all of a sudden the zombie then is like, hey, guess what? I coincidentally could hear that, weirdly. So the zombie turns around and he's like, ah. So Barasu goes on and tries to like drop kick this zombie. and then they run up or run through these stairs. So they go on and they make their way to Cheongsong, and so we go on and have like so these characters are going on, and while they're kind of running up there, we have Bear Sue and we have Namra, who are going and bumping into, of course, In-soo, the bully from this guy, the guy who's put on the cool jacket. Like, yeah. So we go on and we have Bear Sue who bumps into this guy. It's like, hey, like, it doesn't seem like you're a zombie. So the guy's like, hey, like, have you, like, so In-soo is talking to Bear Sue and saying, like, hey, have you bumped into Cheongsong lately? And Bear Sue's like, no, why? He's like, well, I'm gonna kill him. Okay. Well, I haven't seen him lately. That's just now. So we just have In-soo that goes on and is trying to kill Bear Sue. And so we have, of course, Namra who gets in the middle of this. And we have In-soo who goes on and bites Namra. And so we have it look like In-soo is infected, but because he looks heavily injured, but like I don't know how they can make the determination that this guy is actually a zombie. It's just they know that he's a zombie weirdly. I don't know. It is what it is. So we go on and I completely forgot about the archery team. I'll have to get to that soon. We'll have to put a pen in somewhere and then we'll get to the archery team. I'm sure that adventure of the archery team is the most exciting thing that is to happen upon this episode. Strategically, yes. Exciting, let's hold back on that one. So we go on here and we have Bear Sue and Namra, and we go and have In-soo who bites her, and then they run off to go back to this classroom to meet up with Cheongsong. So let's put a pin in that. So let's go and talk about the archery team. So the archery team is supposed to be getting more arrows. Well, the two kids from the bathroom and the two kids from the archery team. So we go on and we have these guys having to fight it out with sweet, delicious, like, towels or something that's on their hands. And like towels that are like taped up on their wrists. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. This show, somebody's been watching World War Z. Somebody's been watching Grand Theft Auto. Somebody's been playing a zombie game or two, or 12 million. I don't know. Anyways. So we have these guys all fighting it out with these zombies, and we accidentally have one of the characters who is to be Ju-sung, who is to get accidentally stabbed upon his chest. And so when they finally make it into this area to kind of chillax, we go on to have the one kid who was accidentally get stabbed, and he starts crying. And we have Minjin, Park Minjin, the girl who's consistently go on and on about the one archery girl being her type. We go on and we have this girl looking at this stab wound, and like at first she's like, hey, why are you crying? And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my god, you're stabbed? How did you get stabbed? So we go on and they're like, get the first aid, this guy's gonna die. So they're scrambling and going and getting that, and that's all they really cover with these characters. So I'm like, wow, he spent all that time to just see some cool action. I'll admit that. But then we kind of just turn around and then just, what do we do with it? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. So back to the kids and their pumped up kicks. The The school kids. The kids inside of the school classroom. Whatever. Anyways, so we go on, and the first concern is that Namra could be eventually turning into a zombie as they realize that she has been bitten. Not Jim Carrey once bitten, but bitten nonetheless. And so we go on and have everybody figure out that she's probably going to turn soon. And we have Barasu going on and saying that Namra is fine. Because the one guy that had bit her was not exactly a turned man, it seemed. So I think that she will probably be fine. So we have Barasu that is going and protecting this girl like his life depends on it for whatever goofy reason. Because technically Barasu was protected by this girl. And then she got bitten. What a mistake. So this girl is going on and like she's starting to turn, and she goes on and tells the group, it's like, hey, like if I feel like I'm chicken tonight, then I'm gonna go and toss myself out this window. So we have Namra who's starting to turn. You can kind of see it in her face, and so Namra is wanting to talk to Barasu about all the changes. So we're actually seeing the point of view and brain of a zombie. I'm like, oh my god, this is brilliant. How we could not have gotten more of this within show, episode, everything of life. Because you would love to just hear the perspective of a zombie, or like a perspective of any number of person during a zombie apocalypse. Just be like, this, I'm out. Just a narration or a thought bubble like thing to just like help a brother out, to just be like, what is this person thinking during a horrible time like this? So Namra is giving her perspective. I'm like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And so she's trying to tell Barasu that she's hungry, and that Barasu's skin looks really good. And she's saying all this stuff without Barasu actually hearing it, because it's all in her brain, and she can't have it come flying out her mouth. So all of a sudden we have Barasu looking at Namra as it seems that she has done this thing called change. And so Barasu is kind of protecting her as Chung Sung is taking this one God, it's been a while since I've this music stand, because I was in band once, but it's been a while since I've had to say what that is. We go and we have, of course, Chung Sung, who has this music stand, and he's kind of holding it, and like, I'm gonna smack her, because it seems like she's gonna be his. Here's the thing. I love it in zombie shows when you immediately think a person's going to turn and you, like, don't take the risk. You're just like, pa! Like, that's when you have, like, Zombieland, where it's, like, double tap, where it's like you go on and like, well, this person's going to turn anyways. I'm not going to take the chance. Pa! And they're dead. Wouldn't that be just a crazy... Like, if they introduced a character in this show and they're just like, oh, well, it looks like he's turning, pa! Dead. Oh, this person, like, oh, you want me to help you? Pa, you're dead. Like a heartless piece of person that is just going through, and when a person is to try to desperately ask for help, just pa right in the head. Sadly enough, because there's got to be a heartless person in a show like this. Not everybody's gonna be like hunky-dory, as we kind of have In-soo, but technically he's a zombie, though. He's a zombie. Gotta say it. He's half. He's hybrid. He's hybrid. As they were coming up with a weird, goofy thing to call this girl. They're like, yeah, she's a halfie. It's like, what is it? Wealthy, and now halfie? What the is this? Halfie? Whatever they were saying here. So we go on into the show, and this girl seemingly is still normal, because Barasu's like, well, hey, if she would have bitten into me, it would have happened by now, but it didn't. So she's still fine. And they're like, well, hey, it seems like she's hungry, because she goes on and tells them, like, yeah, like, I'm really hungry right now, and I feel like I want some flesh. And so we're going on, we're having Barasu telling these guys that, like, well, hey, like, if she's gonna bite anybody, she'll bite me. And when really looking at it, at least if Barasu gets bitten by this girl, it actually wouldn't be half bad. Because technically this guy can still have his faculties, but still be a rage monster also at the same time. But still, like, it would be basically as if, like, instead of having this be like a zombie, he's more like a vampire, pretty much. But anyways, so after that whole thing is wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow, where we have like Bearsu and Chung Sung just kind of fighting it out for the right of murdering or not murdering, or shoving out a window a character. So after that, everybody is starting to complain about that they are a thing called hungry, and they're trying to like pick the lock of this door, or they're trying to break it down. And we, of course, because they realized that there had been a certain portion of food that had been brought in, and they hope that it's through this door. So these guys are trying to break this door down, as we have Nam Yan, who's kind of in the room, just kind of just not talking or whatever, not wanting anybody to break into this room. Because we go on and we have these guys who are kind of belittling this character and talking about her. Like, oh, she's a soulless person because she murdered somebody. Well, like, hence why she didn't want to talk to any of you people. She was hoping that zombies would just resolve this problem, but I guess not. So we also go on and have them all find this camcorder. And so, because Chung Song was to find this camcorder while dealing with a zombie that was like that was kind of pressed against this bench. So Chung Song goes and passes around this camcorder for, I guess, them to have this like this last thing to say to anybody. And so we go on and have this getting passed around, and we of course have certain people that are saying like, oh hey, yeah, these are my classmates in the background, and like people like bowing and whatever. I'm like this might be your last will and testament. Why exactly you're going on and just mentioning like classroom people? Who gives a like, I would have just said like, hey, like, whoever my next of kin is, like, you get it all. And like, I would probably have absolutely nothing really profound to say, because I don't think I would have anything that felt worthwhile. I would just probably say some random thing like Kolwaka. If this is the last thing that I have to say, Kolwaka. So we go on and we have our, because nobody's probably ever going to find this video. So Dae-soo is going on and he's playing he's doing this song, and we have the one guy who's kind of doing this beat for this guy, and he's doing this song. I'm like, okay, that was cool. So we go and we keep transitioning, and everybody is to kind of like say their piece and whatever. Really, we have some people that are thinking that their parents are still alive, like Chung Song, and we have Anjo, who is going on as her father is probably getting shot right now, going on and saying this video. It's like, well, hey, like, I would have thought that my dad would have came and rescued me, but it's okay that you aren't coming, Dad. And so she ends up going on and saying that, like, well, normally I don't go on and say this unless I'm getting an allowance, but I'll say this for free. I love you, Dad. And then, like, we go on and we see her dad getting shot and probably killed and murdered and probably turned into a zombie sometime soon because blood. So really, that's just how this episode is to just kind of fizzle out with this recording and stuff like that. Like, it feels like there's always a downtime thing in this show, but I feel that overall, like, this show or this episode specifically didn't have like any real true downtime. 95% of it. That whole archery team thing, but still, there was some good action out of that. But overall, like, probably 98% of this episode, uh, like, didn't have downtime in this one, where I was just like, yeah, I'm left satisfied. So we'll go on and see what the next episode will bring. I have probably farted. I probably talked far too long for this one, but I'm going to get out of here. Bye, buddy. Bye, buddy. What?